You are listening to the Girl Talk podcast. My name is Carol.
I'm Alicia.
Hey, I'm Tricia.
And today we're talking technology. But wait, we're going to add kids to the mix.
Oh.
So here's the deal. Now, don't turn this off if you're not a parent, because I think this involves grandparents, aunts, uncles. If you even know children, you need to listen to this podcast.
Plus, it's good for us, too.
It is so good for us.
Yeah.
So this conversation started actually in my cubicle upstairs because Alicia and I were talking about, you read an article.
Yeah, there's this woman called Whoa Susanna. She's
hysterical.
she's a Christian author. She got famous because she did a viral video in like a Walmart or something. And since then, she's spoken out more, and she's got a ton of people on her Facebook page.
Right.
There was an article written about her and her son. She's got I want to say it's probably like a tween, and he was getting really addicted to technology and gaming, and they took him off everything. And she's like, it was a different child.
Oh, wow.
I have found that to be true. I mean, even in my own life, because, you read all these different articles, and I'll just go up on record and say that I'm probably the worst parent as far as consistency goes.
It's hard.
No, I'm with you.
It's hard for me to be consistent, but I have noted that several times I've said, okay, this is going to be, for instance, an electronic-free weekend or an electronic-free day. And on those days when we don't have electronics, and I'm included in that, our relationship totally changes. And she's a tween.
Yeah.
My daughter's a tween. And I don't think we fully know the effect of technology on our brains and how it affects us. So I think there's much to be learned about that, but tweens don't get that. They just think we're being mean.
Well, they grew up with it. They've had iPads since they were little. Like, my daughter was 18 months old when we got the first iPad in our house.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it, but she learned to touch it and to turn a page of, I think I was reading a magazine, and she was so drawn to it and instinctively, with no training, knew how to touch the screen and make it do stuff.
Yeah.
And then there were cute books. There were board books, like the Sandra Boynton books. She actually has amazing apps for the iPad that all the little characters do things, and you touch the bird and it tweets, and very, very cute, interactive. But it just grows from there. And at all ages, our kids are exposed to technology. So by the time they're 10, 12, teenage years, I think it gets so much harder. And the main difference, I think, with the difficulty for me has been, my friends have a phone. All of my friends have a phone.
If I had a quarter for every time my daughter had said that, I could retire today.
And they're younger and younger when they get the phones.
Absolutely.
I thought it would be middle school when everybody got the phones. It's elementary school when they have phones, or they start with the iPods.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, you may know, Tricia, about the research about this, but there's a lot of research about the teenagers think with the front part of their brain, and it's not fully developed yet. So that technology that's available to them, they can't handle that. And I don't know all the scientific terms for it, but I have read that there are studies that say that part of the brain is not matured enough to handle the technology and the
to be able
things.
to make good decisions, wisdom and all
that.
Kind
I'm
of thing.
40, almost 48, and I don't have the ability to make good decisions, you know?
I don't either. But here's the problem I'm having, guys.
Okay.
So, school assignments are technology-based now.
Yes.
What am I supposed to do about that? Because here's what we do. We say you get 1 hour of technology during the week. We have absolutely no tech on Sunday.
That's pretty big.
No technology.
And that's just been a rule for a long time. But lately, they're like, well, I need to read this book for school. And so they grab the iPad and guess what? They're not always reading that book for school. Or they start with that and they end with Minecraft or something.
Do you know what I started doing?
What?
This is so bad.
Share. I need
this
to know.
This is so bad. And this is probably why Oprah will come out of retirement to interview my kid because she's so messed up. But
there will be tears.
There will be tears. Yes. But here's the thing that I do when she says that.
Yeah.
When we've spent all weekend without technology and she says to me, I've got to go read this or do this assignment. I'm like, okay, I'll sit beside you while you do it. And suddenly that assignment kind of disappears, you know? And she has learned, too, to have different tabs open.
Oh, yeah.
And so she does have a homework
click,
tab,
right.
the quick click. That's
Well,
exactly
and they are like, I'm like this. I multitask and I do things. And I was actually talking to someone older than us who said she has a hard time just watching a television show without also being on her phone.
That's so
and
true.
I think we have learned, it is a form of an addiction.
Yes, it is.
But we have all gotten so used to the technology, it is difficult to focus on one thing. Like if you're reading a book on an iPad or even like the Kindles and the e-readers that have multiple options on them. Well, I'll just take a break from my page and I'll go check the news or I'll check Facebook and then I'll go back. And we've learned to go back and forth between the two, but I think kids have a much harder time doing that. And because they've have access to it sooner, they're training themselves. They have no experience just doing the one task at a time.
That's right.
Oh, my word. And then they get bored when they do one thing at a time,
They
too.
They do. And so do I.
Yeah.
And I've got to share with you my devotion because it speaks to this. I read this devotion the other day, and it said, when was the last time you had a conversation with someone face to face, sitting there listening and responding with no phone, no TV, no social media of any type around you? You just literally were standing or listening and communicating back and forth. And then it said this, no wonder it's so hard for us to hear from God.
Wow.
Oh,
because we're never still. It said God didn't say be busy and know that I'm God. He said be still and know that I'm God.
So true.
And we are so unstill these days because of the technology. Other things too, but the technology is a big hindrance.
Even there's some restaurants that have little technology pad things at the table, and that's how you pay your bill.
Order and stuff.
But you can also play a game
games,
and do things.
Yeah.
And our rule is that thing goes off to the side of the table or under the table or something. If I need to pay my bill with it, that's fine at the end. But I'm not having that distraction because I am paying for this meal for someone else to cook for us, and we're going to have a conversation.
You're going to eat more, too, if you're doing that, by the way. Just saying.
Well, and here's the thing, too. You started doing with your boys the conversation practice.
Yeah.
I love that. Tell us about that again.
Oh, I've got to tell you. We haven't been doing it lately. I'm sorry. I'll get back to it.
Okay.
I'll try back.
It's so good.
But I know it was hard to maintain.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't getting a lot of feedback back. But this is good. This is a good reminder that sometimes hard things are worth it. So conversation practice was every night. I would say, okay, guys, we're going to have conversation practice. And, it's not long. It's 5 minutes. But it is
Which
a chance.
seems like an eternity.
But probably for them,
two
they're like, come
boys.
on, Mom.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And so the question, I had, you ask a question and then you respond to the question and then you ask a follow-up question. Yeah. That's it. That's all it needs to be. But
like, my mom makes me do conversations.
Yeah.
But they will
not
be
a
grateful
popular
for
parent.
that when they're older.
Yeah.
Yes. So I got to get back to that.
So in our house, we have a thing coming up in the 4th grade. They do a no technology week. Oh. And as a reward, the students who it's a choice, not everybody has to do it, but as a reward, if you sign the contract, then you get no homework for the week.
Oh.
Now, if you choose not to sign the contract, you're going to get the regular homework. And so we, as a household, when my son was in 4th grade, we did it as a household. And now my daughter is in 4th grade and my son is in middle school. So the current challenge is he has homework that he has to do on the computer.
Yes.
My husband and I use technology for our jobs.
Right.
So it's a little disheartening for my daughter to think, she's like, I'm the only one in the house that is truly going to be technology free. And this isn't just technology free, it's screen free. So nothing on like a Kindle or anything like that. That's considered a screen. No television.
Wow.
Nothing. It's everything gone. And when we did it a couple of years ago, it worked out really well. We bought them each a big set of Legos for the week as kind of a preemptive thing.
Smart.
And a game that we could do together. But she's recognized that technology is so advanced in part of our daily lives that we're not allowed to escape it. So we've agreed that when we're at home, we will not be on technology, but she still knows that it seems not fair.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
That is hard.
And it goes back to what we were talking about with the school assignments. And they have to be on the computer. They have to check their email and they have to type on it and they have to do all of these other things and research. And how do you monitor that unless you're sitting on top of them the whole time? And as they get older, But it's harder to do as they get older
Yeah.
to say, okay, you're going to have to sit here with me so that.
Well, and here she said, Mom, this is really annoying. I was like, that is my job. My whole job is to annoy you, And we, I think back to when I was growing up, we didn't have technology. We had neighbors.
Yeah.
And we got home, we did our homework right after school, and then we got to go play until you heard my dad go and whistle for us, and then we all ran home to eat supper, and that was kind of our evening. And I think we're losing some very valuable things in technology always being in front of our face because
there's no question.
I mean, I have some great stories from when I was a kid growing up because there were all boys in my neighborhood. And so I learned real quick.
See little Carol.
Oh, my word. And what you need to know about me, too, is that I'm very competitive. And so to say to me at 8 or 9, that boy's going to beat you. Oh, no, he is not. And so I would spend long hours, and I still have guys who, are married and have children of their own. They're like, yeah, I never could beat you at basketball.
How do we help our kids?
Well, can we just be honest about something, or at least maybe it's just me, but I get stuff done when my kids are on tech.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I'm cleaning and laundry, and I'm not worrying about stop fighting, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. It's like, or I sit down and read a book. Yeah. A book I choose. It's crazy. But that's when I do that. So when I take away technology, I feel like I'm getting punished a little bit too.
Yeah.
So how do we navigate all of that? But I know my kids love to ride bikes. And on Sunday, they'll ride bikes. But they would choose technology 10 times out of 10
That's so true.
Instead of bikes. But they love to ride bikes. So
but maybe it starts with what you're doing with Tech-Free Day, one day.
Yeah.
Or, you establish different rules or broader rules to limit it. So I think it's in our world today, I think it's too challenging and difficult to eliminate it completely.
Yeah.
Eventually, eventually the children need phones. But maybe it's the type of phone that you give them. Kids don't need a smartphone necessarily. They may need a way to communicate with you, but they don't necessarily need to have an iPhone.
Yeah.
Right.
And technology is coming out with more simplified
options.
Yeah, because, I don't know about y'all, but I can't afford a smartphone for my kid.
I can barely afford mine.
Yeah.
I remember several years ago, I had a friend who had a regular phone, and she got her daughter a nicer phone than she had. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, she was kind of like, I don't know. And she ended up, her daughter had this the brand new iPhone.
Well, and I think too, we need to, and this is something I saw. I think it was a pin on Pinterest or maybe Facebook. I don't know, but it was talking about things to teach your children, and in this day and time, and it said, teach your children that when anyone new enters the room, they put electronics down.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
good rule.
That's a good first step.
Yeah. Well, and I saw a picture on Facebook where this family has a rule. They have a basket in their foyer, and if they had a whole bunch of group of kids come over to play and had a party or something, and they made all of the kids put the phones in the basket.
Right.
And they're like, this is our house, this is our rule, and we want you to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And so they had 8 or 9 phones in this basket. And if they hadn't, they would have been texting and talking and taking pictures and all that.
And probably texting each other.
That's right. What are you doing? Oh, I'm just sitting beside you on the couch.
Exactly.
Chick-fil-A did that for a while, didn't they?
With the what did they call it?
Chicken coop.
Oh,
the
chicken coop.
Yeah. Here's another thing, too, that I've realized in conversation with my tween is that she thinks that if someone texts me, I have to return it immediately.
Yeah.
I remember when we were in college, we had one phone on the hall.
Yes.
You had to depend on somebody to answer it, walk down to your room, see if you were home, go back, take a message, now all that stuff. And now she's like, Mom, such and so text you. And I'm like,
okay,
it can wait. I don't think they think that way.
No.
If they don't immediately
immediate.
Like my husband gets notifications on his phone for everything.
Yeah.
Text messages, updates on social media, work related, and each one kind of has a different ring or ding or whatever. And I've asked him at night, I said, can you please turn all of your notifications off? Because everyone in the house, even though my kids don't have phones, we're all turning to see
what that is.
Oh, Daddy, you've got someone's trying to communicate with you, and he'll say it's okay, and I'm like, turn that sound off. And we do a box. We have a pencil box that we put the phones in the evening.
Yeah.
So you can go because at work you need to check your,
Right.
we do need to check our messages and see if someone's contacting us, but we put it in this plastic 50-cent pencil box at night. And so we can go once in a while and go check it and put it back in the box. But it eliminates the distraction of those dings and the messages and needing to respond right away.
So glad you said that.
Yeah, a little bit of wrap up here because I think we can all agree that we're all overwhelmed with technology.
Yes.
And how to raise kids in this digital age. But I think one of the biggest things that changed me as far as technology goes is I quit putting the phone beside my bed. I plugged it up across the room. Now, in the last couple of years, my parents have not been well, so I needed to be closer to it. So sometimes I will have it closer just because of that, and I'm not using it as an excuse, but I had a number of calls in the middle of the night.
That's true.
So, but my first suggestion would be to you tonight, if this is something you can start tonight, plug your phone in somewhere where you have to get up out of bed to go get it. And turn the notifications off. There's a setting on most smartphones that you can say at 10 o'clock, no more. There's all sorts of technology that you can buy to go on the wireless, what do you call that thing? The router.
Yes.
You can buy to go on the router that says at 8 o'clock, we're done. I mean,
Yeah,
that's going to make your
things,
kids mad.
There's smart
that's
devices
good.
that you can turn it off throughout the whole house. So,
Yep.
I didn't know
As a
that.
parent, you can put these controls on it. So we have wireless now. We don't. We have, and so that goes with gaming, phones, internet usage, all of that. Look at Tricia
We've got
smiling.
our own thing. We've got something weird going on. When anyone uses the microwave, the internet connection goes out, so I could just microwave.
How so fun.
Well, our television runs on the
know why.
internet. We don't
Yeah,
have
that's
cable
mine
or
too.
anything. So when the internet's down in our house, it's a major issue.
Oh, yeah.
Like, go play with a stick.
Yeah. What are we going to do? Well, we didn't have electricity for like 6 hours last week. And it was what are we going to do? And
Yeah.
it worked out. It was actually kind of lovely.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's better.
Right. And the point is to start somewhere.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
it's
true.
starting with, hey, we're going to have a technology-free dinner. We're going to look at
Yes.
each other. We're going to do conversation time. Start somewhere. We're all in this together. And hey, if you have ideas about how to make technology more of a benefit than right now it is being, kind of a drain on your family,
Right.
we'd love for you to join our
Absolutely.
Facebook
Yes,
page.
please.
We've got a special Girlfriends of the Girl Talk podcast page that we've set up. And we'd love for you to log on to that page. And how do they find it, Alicia?
So it'll be linked in the show notes below
Yeah.
this podcast. And they can also go to 106.9 The Light on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's linked on that page too.
Okay, so join the group and give us all your suggestions because, as you have realized, we struggle with it too. We want you to, number one, start somewhere. And number two, give yourself grace. We're all struggling through it. We're all figuring it out. Don't be so hard on yourself because you're doing better than you think. Thanks for joining us for the Girl Talk podcast, and we'll see you back here next time.